Happy New Year, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of Reliving the Extreme, an ECW podcast. And I am Nate Maxon, your host, joined, of course, by my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And our friend from ECW, Mr. Chad Austin.
Hi guys, Happy New Year's! Happy holidays!
You can't see it, everybody.
Down world.
Chad's camera is sideways, so he's
Stranger Things or something.
This week's show, we are going to be discussing the episode of ECW from July the 6th, 1993. Another, as we always say, another doozy here this week.
Well, I mean, can we start to agree that clearly that they're running out of canned footage?
Absolutely, yes, they are.
And they're really going to have to start. I mean, for lack of a better term, thinking outside of the box. Like they're going to have to do something more. Because when they start having matches, it's the main event of the show today that we'll get to later. But the join in progress. Doesn't that just lead you to believe that they don't have nothing else to show?
It reeks of indie-rific, if that makes sense. It's just, and so does Chris Michaels, but we'll get to that later on too. Anything you guys want to talk about before we dig into the show? Anything going on out there? Anything on your mind?
Well, I mean, I just want to say, my heart goes out to John Huber's family.
Absolutely.
Great big loss. I mean, I never knew the guy. My buddy knows the guy. He worked with him in AEW, worked with him in Ring of Honor, and he told me that this is what he said. And for him to say this to me, that I've been friends with him for over 30 years, he said that one hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
and then, then I was like, you know what? Then if that hurt for you, then that definitely hurt for me, And
right. And I mean, I've never heard anything negative about the guy. I always heard positive things, that he was a great guy and a team player. And, I mean, and I was a fan, when originally the Brody Lee days, and then through watching them kind of misuse him in WWE and hoping with AEW, maybe he would finally get his just due. But apparently, obviously that didn't.
How many times, I don't know if you guys listen to Cornette, but How many times have you heard Cornette go through a AEW review and then he yells out, "Where the fuck is Brody Lee?"
Yeah.
He is in the witness protection program, right?
Yeah.
How many times? I mean, that's exactly what Cornette says. I'm not paraphrasing. He says it every time. And that tells you if Cornette is shitting on a company and he's begging, can you just bring this guy out?
Yeah. Can we have, yeah.
Yeah, one guy that's credible at least, out here. That speaks volumes of the guy's integrity. And, like I said, I didn't know the guy. My buddy knew him, and for him to know him, and the guy that knows him is going to be at my wedding, so he's that good of a friend.
Mm.
So yeah, he said, yeah, that was a big one, and it sucks, man. And the same my same feelings go out to Danny Hodges' family, although I can't believe any of them are still alive. But Jesus, maybe his grandkids might hear this.
Two great guys in the same day. It was a real bummer. And then I went off on a rant. I know, a drunken late night rant on the We Can't Wrestle page about just, you see tribute posts or whatever to Brody. And then when I see the people in the comments trying to take his death and talk about, shitty companies, whether it be AEW or WWE, it's like, for 5 minutes, can you just put your stupid wrestling rivalry to the side and respect a guy's memory, God.
Honestly, I didn't even see that because I didn't look for that. But yeah, it was like that. That really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it on quite a few different pages.
What, they put company versus company together or something?
Yeah, like in memoriam of the wrestler, instead of just talking about the wrestler, talking about, WWE shit the bed on that guy, or he was in lame-ass AEW. It's like, for a post of this nature, do you really have to bring that crap into the mix, Keep it outside.
I don't know if you guys listen to Busted Open, but he was a guest on the show about 6 months ago, and this is when he first started with AEW, and he said that when he was sent home, like not sent home, but when he was at home doing nothing, that he had no hard feelings against WWE, even after he was released. He's one of them. He's not Ryback.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not going out there and wishing the world, the worst on anybody. He's like, no, he made the most out of the opportunity that they gave him, but that's all that they gave him.
Right. Absolutely.
And you can't, that's on audio. So 10 years from now, you can replay that and he's still not shitting on the company, that just passed on him. So, you know what I mean? Like that's the mark of a great human being, in my opinion.
That's what I was going to say. The professional-ism of that in and of itself speaks volumes about him. Mm-hmm. But R.I.P. Brody, R.I.P.
Danny
Hodge, and sad week for wrestling. And Ginger, or Marianne from frickin' Gilligan's Island, died today too. What the hell?
Now that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've still never got a letter back from her. I've been writing. What?
Not nothing.
I've been writing her letters for like 44 years. And the only problem is I don't know the exact zip code of Gilligan's Island.
You just gotta throw in a bottle and hope it gets there, man.
What the heck? I've tried all of it. I've even adapted to using a drone.
Right.
That Dawn Wells is a sad one too, because she's pretty much all that's left, right?
I think so. Yeah, from that cast, I believe so. I don't think the skipper's still
what
kicking.
What other cast was there? Did some other fucking idiot wreck a boat on some uncharted desert isle?
Return to
that cast.
I guess I meant from the cast of that TV show. God damn it. July the 6th, 1993. And we start the show off, as we do every week, with Sweaty Sully and Paulie and Todd Gordon. This time Todd Gordon's kind of giving Paulie the stink face while he's talking, giving him the stink eye.
It's just more Todd trying to get himself over.
Well, it started off all heated.
Yeah.
And what happened? And what happened? Did you notice they went back to the old music again?
Yeah.
What happened last week? Like there wasn't any different music, because all of a sudden I'm listening, ready going boom, 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 1, 2. I'm like, wait a minute, it's the same old generic music, and I even wrote like, what? Yeah, what happened? And literally, Todd and Paul, like they started the TV show out like they had just finished having an argument, and somebody was counting down 3, 2, 1, right?
Yeah, they did. And then Paulie goes off on a tangent about, breaking the rules and blah, blah, blah. And Todd Gordon, because this is still Eastern and not Extreme, is telling us that he's going to start laying down the law with fines and suspensions. And, yeah, he goes off on Paulie here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What did he actually do, but whatever. It sounded great, right? I mean,
it sounds good. Anything on this, Aaron?
Just the fact that Paulie's walking away and he looks at Sully and he goes, "To hell with you." I'm like, yeah.
To hell with you.
He had to get the last word. I mean,
and now we move.
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was great because it actually got me like not like amped up, but like my eyes kind of like, oh, well, maybe, they're going to do something on this show. But, the 36 other minutes proved otherwise.
I was going to say, and you were completely wrong. But, So next segment, Hunter Q. Robbins with some kids.
Oh yeah.
And I know you said you had some stuff on Hunter. You said about this, Chad.
Yeah, I kept debating whether or not I was going to do stand up again. What? But after seeing Hunter Q. Robbins with kids and a promo, and with I think Sal Balomo was involved, and then the Super D's, and Hunter Q loves kids, and the Super. And the Super D's admitting that they love kids. I'm just thinking like there's a reason why Hunter Q ain't there anymore.
No, Wild Sal's fucking sick lifestyle's rubbing off on the Super D's.
I wrote down is the only way to get. Do they think the only way to get babyface reactions in this promotion is to say you love the kids? Because that seems to be what they try to do. Everybody loves the kids.
I don't remember exactly who it was. God, I swear to God, I can't. Maybe it was Gary the Pitbull, but we used to joke about that promo all the time. Like the kids, you're doing it for the kids, and you know what I mean? Like you're talking about ECW.
And the little girl's like, I'm Super Destroyer number 1.
Yeah, I love the Super D, the Hunter Q standing around with all his kids. I'm just like, somebody better call this guy probation officer because they got him on film with like all these kids around him, and he's saying how much he loves them,
making them say they love the D's. It's like this is bad.
You're right, Eric. Exactly right. They love it too. They love the Super D's. Jesus.
Yeah, the wrong kind of extreme
I
here.
Want to think they're black.
Yeah, definitely a bad look here for these guys.
They love all the kids.
Like, that was a bit
much.
Now that I've taken over, we're scaling back on that. Does anybody else think one of the? I mean, obviously it's not. But does anybody else think one of the Super Destroyers talks like Jody Hamilton?
I bet you that's Petrucci.
Like every time I hear him talk, if I would close my eyes, I would think it was Jody Hamilton.
And by the way, going back to the Super D's thing, I have a feeling. I mean, I'm not 100% positive whatsoever, but I think the kids. I think they were Sandmans.
Okay.
I mean, I do remember Sandman's kids being around, and don't let me think that. Don't let me insinuate anything about the kids and this. You know what I mean? But I think the kids were hanging around because Sandman used to show up in a van. He had like a conversion van that he would travel in, you know, and he'd bring his family, Peaches and all them people, and his kids would run around there. And I could totally see where they just grabbed his kids to be, you know,
put them on camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was this van the same van that Paulie likes to lay down in, or
no? It was a real conversion van.
Okay.
It wasn't the Astro van that housed everybody. The 4-seater that had like 10 people in it.
And now we get a promo from Hunter talking about the upcoming tag title match that we're about to watch between the Suicide Blondes and the Super Destroyers. And at first I thought, not knowing how the match was going to turn out, I thought Candido's in the promo and Michaels is in the match.
Oh, yeah, that's in my notes.
Now knowing how it ends, but yeah, I mean, this promo was there. I don't even know what else to say about it.
Well, it was billed as the belts versus the mask, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I could have swore we've already done 2 or 3 shows where they've already exchanged belts and the Super Destroyers already lost their masks. Like, I can't believe we haven't gotten there yet. Like, I'm going, how much longer are they going to do this? And I literally wrote, like, good Lord. And then at one point, Jay Sully was talking about which, and that was Super Destroyer number 2 was in the ring. How does he know? You know, which Super Destroyer it is?
If they're supposed to look exactly alike.
Yeah, but it's Super Destroyer number 2. Like he was emphatic about it. Yeah, I don't know. I just wish they really can't get Sir Christopher Michaels. I'm at a loss for words. To say like some of the things that I watch him do is just
he's not good. Like, and I don't know. I've never worked in the ring, but I can watch this guy and think he's not good. He's just not good.
It's his bumps. He's
very awkward.
Yeah, like the infamous spot where they bring you in the ring the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Well he like flips over too far. Where he like lands on his ass. And then like you give him an elbow off the ropes, and he lands like he doesn't like land on his back. He lands like on his legs, like he just crumbles. And it's just like, wow, who taught you how to bump? He's not selling the bumps properly, and it looks poor, and it really does just affect it, because I mean, Hot Body's a much better worker than Sir Christopher Michaels,
mm-hmm.
but whatever. Yeah, but I agree. When they were putting that match together, somebody should have said, Hot Body, you should be the guy that's taking the bumps. Because Chris Michaels, for Christ, that's who it was, right? It wasn't Candido, right?
No, it's Chris Michaels.
There's two things in this match that Paulie says. For one, he says that Todd Gordon's very angry lately. He's starting to look like Vern Gagne.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
And then there's also a point where Paulie claims that one of the Super Ds went low on Sir Christopher Michaels, and Sully says, "Oh no, it was his upper thigh," and Paulie goes, "Well, I guess it depends on how big of a man Richard Michaels is." I thought that was kind of funny. But
as far as the Vern Gagne line went, I totally heard it. But my joke was he was like angrier than Vern Gagne going to the bank in 1993 to deposit money, because I heard the joke, but I didn't know like what the joke was. So I just automatically put two and two together. I was like, oh, it must have been him going to the bank with no money kind of thing. But no, I didn't hear the Big D reference.
Yeah. And they are the Super Ds. Yeah. The end of this match is fucking terrible.
It's awful. It's stupid.
They're gonna do a switcheroo with a guy with short blonde hair and a guy with long blonde hair,
and a guy with short tights and a guy with long tights.
Yeah, and it's fucking trash.
Yeah, I wrote confused. I don't know. Like, I wrote new champs. I don't know. Confused.
And that goddamn small package was fucking terrible. It goes back to our whole entire discussion about how these matches aren't booked for television properly,
Mm-hmm.
They're not laid out with the structure of, hey, this is what we're building towards. It's just that this is what we got, and believe me, we're going to get more. This is what we got, so we have to work with this. But I don't understand why it wasn't thought out, just a little more.
Well, like I said, the entire trying to do the switcheroo at the end with two guys that look nothing alike.
It's really different.
And it's so stupid.
They should have had Sal Bologna run in.
And the only way they could have made it worse if it was like JT Smith.
Yeah. No, they would have had Sal run in, and then Hunter Q would have came in and rolled Sal out of the ring, and then JT would have ran in and rolled Hunter Q out of the ring, and then it would have been Big Val Puccio. I mean, it really was like, what is going on? Because the referee, it's not his fault, and I'm not going to blame any of this on him. He saw everything.
Every bit of it was
going on. It looked like he was at a sports bar watching multiple TV screens of his favorite team, because he was just standing around. Was it Finnegan? Was it Larry?
I think so. I think it was Finnegan in this match. Yeah.
He was standing around, looking around like he's just going, like he was directing traffic, like somebody should have gave him one of them reflective vests. Like he was trying to tell people like what to do. Like, am I in the way? Yeah, it was like was it you, Nate, or you, Aaron, that said it was just a mess?
Both of us, I think. I think it's a consensus. This was a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was completely a mess.
And with this match, we have the Super Destroyers are once again the ECW Tag Team Champions. Yay. And then we get a Sandman promo talking about his upcoming match with Ivan Kolloff, in which he says he respects Kolloff like people in the Louvre respect the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I don't think I even heard that. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go with whatever you have to say about this.
I have nothing.
Because I didn't really, I heard what he said, but none of it really kind of even made any sense. I didn't know what he meant by the Louvre or I don't.
He even made an allude, and I don't remember what the exact line was, but he alluded to, you're, because he's the Sandman, I guess. He's Scuba Steve. You're on my beach or whatever. I don't know. It was a stupid promo. It really was.
It's bad.
I don't know what's worse, his promo or you trying to fucking make any sense out of it. Fuck. At the end of the day, I have no idea what the fuck the guy said.
I've heard Jim Hellwig promos that made more sense.
Oof.
Now we go into
that's getting towards now we're starting to get into we just got to figure out what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just waiting for that. I'm waiting for that moment. I thought it was when Sandman had he had the no holds barred thing or whatever with Johnny Hotbody, and he was in street clothes, and I was like, oh, this is the moment where he finally gets rid of the wetsuit, and now he's in street clothes. But we've continued on with the goddamn wetsuit for another month.
Yeah, but he starts feuding with Tommy. So he starts feuding with Tommy.
I'm sorry, Aaron. He still hasn't even beat up Tommy yet.
Yeah, that's when it starts. But
so the next match is the one that we just alluded to. It's Kolloff versus the Sandman. They say it's a number one contenders match.
Who's that?
I don't know if Sully does at some point. I don't know if we'll find out. I don't know if Kolloff ever got this title shot or not, because he goes over. He goes over in this match, but I guess we'll find. That's why the name.
We get an Ivan Kolloff Don Morocco match.
How funny is it that for one, after we beat up Ivan and Vlad for pretending to be there, and they do the promos, and they have a TV match, and the one guy that works the TV match is Ivan. You would have thought that he would have been the representative for Vlad, right?
Yeah, you would think.
Because
so.
you would have thought that he was auditioning Vlad to get a job, but it's like Paulie must have saw Vlad and just said, "No, we want Ivan."
Well, and Vlad cuts his promo of this show. He sounds like he's from Minneapolis, USSR.
Is that a boat?
Okay, yeah, that boat is going on to the beach that Sandman owns or whatever. But so
how's the other cast of Gilligan's Island?
Good God! Apparently, fans, you had to listen to the whole entire show to get all the callbacks.
Watching a show like this, we got to entertain ourselves, folks. Kolloff and Sandman. I mean, the match isn't terrible. I don't know. It's not great, but it wasn't. It didn't. Shit the bed like I thought it would. And like I alluded to the last show, I really do think that Paulie is an Ivan mark. Because during this match, he puts Ivan over really strong, just like he did the last time. And like I said, probably from being an MSG kid.
This is just to get This is just to get the green whatever Rockin' Rebel threw in Peach's face out there. That's all this is.
I can see that Paul is like an Ivan mark, just from the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was watching some old WWE stuff. Whatever's on the network, what's it, All American or All Star?
Yeah, All Star.
If you go on YouTube, you can find a guy who uploaded a whole bunch of championship wrestling.
Okay,
it's the other show, and Ivan's on there. I'm like, yeah, Paulie was there, and he probably knew Paulie, and Ivan was. I've never had a bad altercation with Ivan. I like him as much as I don't like Nikolai, which is a great thing because I love Ivan and I don't like Nikolai. But yeah, Ivan, you figure at 1993, why wasn't he pushing, Vladimir?
Right. Why wasn't he the second? Yeah. And he, at his advanced age here, it makes sense. That would make the most sense. I don't know. Maybe they thought, well, we'll put the guy with the name in the ring. I don't know what their thinking was. Or maybe
Vlad was with him because Ivan couldn't drive at night.
Well, maybe they also haven't watched any of their other recent shows. Maybe they haven't watched Jimmy Snuka against Tommy Cairo, since whatever May. Why will we continue to put the old guys with the new guys when they do absolutely nothing? But I have an absolutely better reason why they would do it. Let's take all of the old guys, put them on one team against all the other guys. Because isn't that what was next?
That is what is next. Now, for the finish of this match, Rockin' Rebel comes out and throws. They keep saying paint or ink, like they don't know what they want it to be, but paint or ink into Peach's face, and
not the worst thing they got thrown in her face before Browning.
Yeah, I hate to know what it really was.
But this is rough. And we move on. Now, Stevie. Hold on. I'm trying to this segment made me laugh, okay? Stevie Wonderful is interviewing Hunter Robbins and Todd Gordon. And Hunter Robbins is pissed off because of this title change thing. Hunter Robbins does all the babyface authority figures work for him. Gordon doesn't have to goad him into any stipulations. Gordon doesn't have to work him. Like Hunter just volunteers all the stipulations that are going to fuck him. I'll tell you what I'll do.
Yeah, we'll leave. You handcuff me to Palomo.
Yeah, he's volunteering it all.
I'll change your oil. What do you want? I mean,
I'll work weekends at your jewelry store.
Batteries and all your remote controls. Well, I'll do whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, 100Q. This clearly has to be, because I think I debut around September, and we did a thing with 100Q, and that was pretty much his swan song when he had to work with me, and you can just see that that Paul's either trying to find something for the guy, or he's just realizing that a manager of that type is just, there's too many of them. We can't have me and we can't have you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's sink or swim, and I work here.
One of us has to go, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have the van. So
yeah. If you want, I can transport you and all your bad breath to the nearest bus stop, sir.
You just have to hold your head out of the window.
Yeah, the Windstar don't come equipped with COVID masks. Yeah, that 6-man. I never even thought it was a 6-man. I thought it was an 8-man. I literally thought that
the Cryon thing before they came, the thing on the screen before they went to commercial before this match said 8-man tag action next.
Oh, okay. So I'm not.
So that's stupid. No, like when they did the introductions, I was like, well, where are my other two guys? Not that it matters, but the match that we're alluding to has Don Morocco, who works very, very little in this match, Eddie Gilbert and the Dark Patriot against our old friend Glenn Osborne, Tommy Cairo, and Larry Winters.
Jesus.
I think Morocco spends all of 33 seconds in the ring in this match.
Good. Yeah, I saw Morocco. He dusted off his boots Like that ring must have been like locked. The ring apron must have been locked away in some ring truck for months. Because all he was, if you watch, all he's doing is standing on the ring apron, just wiping off the bottoms of his boots. But he never did anything.
I think he came in, gave Glenn Osborne a body slam, and then tagged back out to Gilbert. Like that was the extent of his participation in this match.
Well, let's just say that thank God Doug Gilbert was in that match.
Because he did most of the work.
Eddie worked and did bumps and took a bunch of shit. But clearly that was a match to show, the highlight Doug. And I get it, but again, you're killing your local talent. And what are you going to come back with the next month? You just took 3 of your guys. 2 of them might be there next month. 1 of them won't be. 3 other guys, you need them next month, and you end up beating them again. Why couldn't one of the guys snuck up behind Sleepy Morocco? I mean, maybe Morocco was catching a nap on the ring apron and was accidentally tagged in, and and Cairo or somebody could have schoolboyed him in.
He could have blamed it on his dusty boots. He'd have been like, "My boots were dusty and I slipped."
He was sneezing. Yeah, he was sneezing for the 3 counts. Yeah, why couldn't you, like, not one time? I'm telling you guys, not one time. I mean, so far, and I'm willing to bet if it hasn't happened thus far, it's not going to happen for the rest of the time. Not one time does Gilbert put over a local guy.
No.
I mean, I'm willing to. I'll wait. We're doing the show every single week anyway, but you know what I mean? Why wouldn't he? That's not the way Lawler would book a territory,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and especially in this match, like we've talked about quite a bit on the show, Tommy Cairo. If you out of these three guys that you've got lined up against your quote unquote main eventers, Tommy Cairo is the one with the most potential. Who enters Osborne, whatever. But Tommy Cairo, maybe if you were gonna do the match, if you want to have a squash match, that's fine. But why put him in there? Because he's got the most potential out of I think the most potential out of any of the original, like the like you say, the home guys. So put somebody else in this if you want it to be a squash.
Yeah, Larry was involved in that stupid little thing with Stetson. Glenn was getting beat up weekly by Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, that was his job.
I mean, that's what he came to work for. And
they could have put Habanero Ernesto or whatever the fuck his name is in there.
Yeah, like it sounded like Glenn Osborne was working 9 to fly. That's the only reason why he came to work. And then you had Cairo, who seemed to get stuck in the middle because half the weeks he was in angles.
In everybody's angles. They just don't know what they
Hey, is that better than not being in any angles?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, if you're all over the show.
Yeah, and they just totally, I was just like, well, why would they why couldn't they slip one against Eddie even? Mm-hmm. If you're not gonna do it against Morocco, which, I mean, what's the sense? It's not going to help anybody. If I beat a person that was brain dead, basically, and pinned them at the hospital, what credibility am I going to get? Mm-hmm. So if he beats Morocco, it's like Morocco just goes like, well, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. But if he beats the guy who's walking out there and is claiming he's the king of Philadelphia, and how many times has Eddie Gilbert gotten rolled up? Jesus. You would think that guy would come up with a fucking a defense for that by now. How many times somebody's rolled him up from behind? You would think like he would fucking figure out a defense, but why not even do it to Eddie? That Eddie can still, then you got a built-in deal with him and Tommy. But I guess they were just, I don't know, man. I guess they were just really trying to get rid of all the ECW like homegrown guys, but that's really not the greatest formula, as history's even shown, right?
Right. Replacing them with old timers.
Yeah.
Not the answer. Not the answer. Yeah. Aaron, anything else on this one?
No,
I certainly wasn't the answer.
I had absolutely no notes on this match.
Well, don't we get the I mean, didn't this kind of like bleed into like? No, I mean, actually, that match was technically not bad. It technically wasn't bad. It just didn't do anything for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? I don't know, Nate. What was it? 8 minutes?
Probably about 8 minutes, yeah. And like I said, like I was alluding to, if you have your 3 big heels, I understand you want to do a squash match. That makes sense. But again, I just think that if you're going to squash Winters, whatever, his thing with Stetson's over, or Osborne, but the Cairo being in here was, and like you said, it didn't do anybody any good at all, other than just to feature your top heel group.
Well, they must have been running out of time, like shit, because I mean, a day in a life with Eddie Gilbert. I mean, seriously,
Eddie Gilbert on South Street is what we're doing. And did anybody else kind of think Eddie might have been a little drunk doing this segment?
Oh yeah. And he also alludes to the fact that he pulled Jay Sully out of a gay bar.
I'm not saying anything about any of that.
I'm not. I'm just saying what was said.
Eddie was drunk.
Yeah. But Sully says, Eddie, you came and you took me out of the club, and Eddie says, well, you might be happy I took you out of that type of club, buddy. And then he's talking about how great of a leader he is, and Eddie says, this is where I think he was. This is where I think I know he was drunk. He says, I'm almost like Hitler, just not as bad.
Not as many Heils, yeah, or something.
Well, he did. I mean, he did this. I know he did like about 5 of them the same night.
Yeah, because he's wearing the like love me and love my cat shirt.
I love my dogs.
I love my dogs or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, he did about 5 of them because I was at one of them. I couldn't get anywhere near him. I was with somebody else, and he was it was like a beer garden down in South Philadelphia, and it was only like one camera there, and he was there, and yeah, he was drinking all day, and if it wasn't just drinking all day, knowing Eddie, he was probably smoking a tad,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was definitely inebriated during this segment. Not that it wasn't entertaining. It was entertaining. And Sully's one of those. Apparently, Jay Sully's one of those guys who wears his sunglasses around his neck with the little rope thing. But anyway,
I was trying to explain to my wife how much I love Eddie Gilbert, but she was sitting downstairs when I was watching it, and I was having the hardest time. Like I was just going like, you don't understand, like he really didn't have the best hand. He was, what I mean. He was really this wasn't like this was basically the decline of Eddie, right? I mean, after here you got Puerto Rico, Smoky Mountain,
and did he? I mean, this is okay. We're in July of '93, and he passed in '94, right?
What's that?
He passed in '95.
I think it was.
Did he pass in '94 or '95?
I think he died in '95.
Okay. But yeah, as far as his career goes, this is probably the last highlight, I guess you'd say, of his career. And
yeah, that's sad. I mean, for me, like he's my hero. He's my mentor. He's my hero, and I'll never have a bad thing to say about him. But yeah, this was not like if I was going to give if somebody was going to ask me what can I watch of Eddie Gilbert's work. And I'm not going to say, hey, watch fucking ECW 93. Fuck.
He alludes to he's going to start putting a tax on the city of Philadelphia. I think he talks about Robin Hood. But yeah, he's definitely a couple sheets during this promo. And it is what it is.
Yeah, he's compared himself to the sheriff of Nottingham and Hitler.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Well, go figure. He's Nottingham and Hitler.
Scooping himself up there with all the great heels.
And he's sitting in like some kind of carriage, and Jay Sully's just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, doesn't he somehow try to fucking introduce the fact that he's got Freddie Gilbert, who's already been on TV? Like,
Freddie Gilbert refereed the match that came on before this.
Yeah, I mean, then they try to. I mean, am I wrong? Didn't he say like he's got this guy here? Didn't he even try to allude that it was a long lost relative?
I think so. Well, because they do the sit down thing with him and Sully after this. That's actually in the studio, and Freddie's standing behind him, and he tries to allude to the fact that Freddie's special or something. I don't think he's
different. He's different.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Well,
he's different.
But I also think he tried to say that he didn't really know that he was his relative. Like he was keeping it a secret, or maybe that was what he meant to do.
I didn't catch that. I guess.
No, he said that his parents didn't want Freddie in wrestling, and put him in a different school because he was special, and that they wanted him to become a journalist or some dumbass job like that.
Yeah, he goes a journalist or something stupid like that, like a doctor or a lawyer.
Like that, like a doctor or a lawyer.
They basically tried to say that Jerry Lawler's kid's retarded. It's what they just try to say.
And he just stands there and looks at the kid. It's like, are they trying to like make like a Rough House Fargo, but like a Gilbert version of it? Like it's this crazy some bitch will bring in every once in a while.
No, man, I'm gonna grab my pen and write this down because that after hearing us just beat that up, I swear. I bet you that Eddie was trying to bring in John Gillum. I bet you if he could have got John Gillum would have been there. Do you know who John Gillum is?
I know you've talked about it before.
I bet you that he was trying to bring in John Gillum. And I bet you either this is obviously before 9/11, but they may have had some other protocols as to why this motherfucker couldn't fly. But I bet you if Eddie had his way, he would have brought in John Gillum. That to me, now that after all these even decades, I've never thought about that, and I bet you he was. You got to go back and watch it. Just Google it or YouTube it, however the kids do it. Continental Eddie Gilbert and John Gillum. It's like you won't believe how much money they made with a half retarded person. With Eddie Gilbert claiming he was going to beat him up every single week, and it just never happened. And the 1 week that it was supposed to happen, John Gillum ended up like slapping the shit out of Eddie Gilbert, and it popped the business like they drew like a $20,000 house, like off of a guy who was Eddie Gilbert's buddy. He was carrying his bags.
Well, maybe that was Eddie's plan for ECW. We just never got to see it come to fruition. Maybe you're right.
No, I bet you. I'm willing to bet that I am right. I bet you I am, because I know that Kevin was there as Eddie's office guy. I know that. So we had to be on the payroll to be a guy, right? In the ring, So I knew that. But I'm just telling you, there has to be a reason why John Gillum couldn't travel. Because if John Gillum at ECW, I'm telling you, would pop the fuck out of you people. Like he's one of them Howard Stern whack pack type guys. You know what I mean?
That would fit perfectly in this equation.
Of course he would have.
The next thing, we get a promo from the Super Destroyers. All I wrote down is Super Destroyers promo. I guess I didn't write down what the context of it actually was, or does it matter?
They just announced that everything that Hunter Q asked for, he got,
which we already figured out earlier on. And then to what Chad alluded to earlier, joined in progress.
Our main event
is the main event of this show. The Wild Man Sal Balomo and Chris Candido.
That
was a perfect response.
Do you want to shit first, or was that Aaron? Did you want to go ahead and release them bowels?
It's just terrible.
Well, Uncle Moisha.
Yeah,
I wrote down here
Uncle Moisha, the peeping Tom.
Yes.
So that's got to be an inside thing somewhere.
Oh, clearly it is. I don't know what
we all wrote it. We all wrote it down apparently because I have it on my notes too. Paulie bringing up Uncle Moisha, the peeping Tom.
He says Peaches is all right though. Well, not all right. She's blind.
Oh, is that when Paul took the phone call?
Uncle. You ever noticed Paulie Dangerously's phone automatically connects to everyone without it their phone having to ring first? Because Paulie just dials a number and starts screaming, and the phone never actually rings.
I think he has a different phone every time you see him. I think he had a white phone and a black phone on this episode. You're right. It didn't ring. He just goes, "Oh, I got a phone call."
Yeah, or he punches the numbers in to make a phone call and then just puts it to his ear and starts screaming like it does. The other person's phone doesn't even ring. Paulie's phone is so important. But Uncle Moisha gives us an update on Peaches, and apparently she's blind. So,
I mean, wow. I mean, set the world on fire with this information. I mean, she had what? She had milk, paint, butter, oil. I don't know. She had something thrown in her face, and she's blind. And less than 45 minutes later, somebody calls Paulie to tell him that she's blind.
Butter, I love it.
I mean, you know what it was? Like, who fucking knows? They have no idea what it is, but yet when she was going to the hospital and she's filling out her information, they asked for a person of emergency contact. She wrote Paulie.
Uncle Moisha.
Uncle Moisha.
Yeah, Uncle Moisha.
Who else would it be?
So why wasn't there a Peaches heel turn? Where she turned on Sandman because she was secretly in she was secretly in with Uncle Moisha. And why wasn't he a character? Or maybe he was and we don't even know it.
Oh,
he was always just in the back like this.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, did you guys see there was a great clothesline during that Belomo Candido match? Where, I mean, I know you guys aren't workers, and it's kind of sometimes a little more difficult for you guys to catch like mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But Candido threw Belomo into the ropes where he was going to throw a clothesline, and they redid the spot where Belomo was to grab Candido's arm and bite him. Like that was the spot where he threw the clothesline, and Belomo grabbed his arm. But the first time they did it, Sal didn't grab his arm. And Candido threw his clothesline out where he didn't even appear to throw any effort at all, like into a clothesline. And Belomo bumped.
I completely missed that. Missed it.
I saw it. I just read that was sad. The clothesline was so sad because I thought that was – I didn't know what the spot was. But they picked it right back up from that point, and they redid it again. And then he throws Belomo back in, and then he goes for the clothesline, and Belomo grabs his arm and he bites him. And I'm like, oh, that was the spot. But literally, like Candido just stood there with his arm out. And Belomo took a bump, and I was like, oh, boy. Maybe that's part of the reason why they started, like, weeding them guys out.
Yeah, for sure. This was snake bitten, most definitely. The Hollywood Blondes. The whole damn show, but this segment too. The Suicide. I was going to say the Hollywood Blondes, completely different deal. The Suicide Blondes. Tony Stetson come out. We get another brawl. Hunter Q Robbins clocks Stevie Wonderful with a cane shot that pops Paulie. Paulie loves his cane shot.
The crowd. I guess the first time the crowd reacted.
Mm-hmm.
Anything.
But if we look through all the names that we've written down on this paper, there's so many that are going to be repeated. Hunter Q Robbins, Paulie. It's like they just don't have nothing. They're just putting the same people out there
week after week. Like you said earlier, this Super Destroyers Suicide Blondes program is it's like the same thing every single week. They just keep drumming it up. And it sounds like it's coming to an end. And like you said, September's coming and changes are coming as we go on. As we close this show out, with the closing credits.
Oh, hang on. I did write my last thing that I did write was I have a feeling this is Goodbye Stevie. Because I did write Goodbye Stevie at the end of this.
Aaron's crossing his fingers. Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, when he's gone.
Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Wonderful. Get the fuck out.
I think he's gone. I think that was it. I mean, didn't Paulie hit him with the phone? Was that Paul?
No, that was last week.
Well, last week he got the phone shot. This week he got the cane shot.
Yeah.
Well, who hit him with the cane?
Hunter.
Oh, well, maybe he's still there another month or so. I thought when I saw him on the floor and they were talking about like leaving, going off the air, I figure that's usually the send off. Well, maybe he's still there a couple more weeks. Either way, poor Stevie.
Yeah, poor Stevie. Overall, I gave this show 1 out of 5. Not a fan.
All right, Aaron, you're always, I think, more generous than the rest of us, right?
Yeah, I gave it a 1.5 just because I liked the Eddie stuff.
I
actually liked Eddie when he was hammered, compared himself to Nottingham and Hitler, and I liked
what?
And I liked the promo when he was in the studio or whatever. I thought he did a good job. Like I thought Eddie was the highlight of the show, obviously, and that's why I bumped it up a little bit.
Well, now that you mentioned the Eddie drunk stuff, because I never really took that in consideration, because my original rating is that I watched it.
It was there.
I mean, I wasn't going to give a star, a number. I don't even know what they did. A shirt sleeve, pants leg,
butter,
one sock. I don't know. Why? I didn't know what to give it because it went by like you know how they're like 38 minutes. It went by so fucking fast. Then I was just like, that I couldn't believe it was over, but yet I couldn't be any happier. And then it was over, and I didn't know like what I liked, what I didn't like. But by looking at my papers, I wrote something about technically not bad, and Uncle Moisha. So, you know what? I'll give it a oh fuck. My honest opinion. I mean, all kidding aside, 3/4 of a star.
That's fair. It's a totally fair assessment of this show.
Yeah, but I mean, the best part was nothing dragged it down as far as I can't say anything was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't anything there that was embarrassing. Nothing insulted my intelligence. It just wasn't good.
Yeah, nothing was ridiculous, but other than probably Eddie's promo, like Aaron was talking about, everything was pretty much pointless. It wasn't ridiculous, but it was pointless. It didn't do anything.
I can't believe that CNN. I can't believe that CNN didn't cut in with the fact that Sal Palomo and Chris Candido's fight was joined in progress. Like like the OJ chase. They just cut right into progress. Why didn't he go like, oh my God, right now in South Philadelphia, Sal Palomo and whatever is Candido is in a street fight. I can't believe they didn't cut into that. It wasn't a big enough deal.
And another news,
Sal's life don't matter.
And in other news, Peaches took some country crock to the face. And
that bitch is blind.
I want to.
Who knows how she got blind? But I mean, when they say it could have been anything.
I want to preview next week's show we're going to be watching, and then I actually have a question to end the show for you, Chad. But for next week, here's the preview from the WWE Network. On this edition of Eastern Championship Wrestling, Jimmy Snuka defends the ECW Television Championship against Terry Funk in the main event. Plus, the Suicide Blondes challenge the Super Destroyers, which we already knew that. And King Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert goes on a tour of his kingdom. So we got Snuka and Funk coming up next week.
Oh, my God. The Suicide Blondes against the fucking... Jesus fucking God. Okay. So what I don't know what is the question? You said it was Snuka against, was it Gilbert?
Snuka and Funk for the TV title next week. But no, the question I had for you is, as we go through every week, I've been looking at the PW Torch from whatever week it is we're watching. And mostly right now, the reporting on ECW is all, just what happened at the shows. They don't have anything going on because they're kind of treating it like just a big indie, obviously. But the one thing that's of note in this edition of the Torch from this week in 93, and I want to ask you if this was true or not, because, dirt sheets don't always get it right. It says here,
my name.
No, but it says here for this week in 93, Eddie Gilbert purchased 49% of ECW from majority owner Todd Gordon on July 12th. So did that actually happen? Because Eddie's gone shortly. So did he actually purchase a bunch of the company and then leave? Or I don't know, I'm asking.
If I had to guess, I believe I heard this one time, and I mean, this is not something that I aspired to look out for, or I set out for. I don't think there was 49% of the company. I don't think there was. I believe I heard you said 49%, right?
Yeah, that's what they have in the Torch here. Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe there was. I believe the 49% was just a made up number. Just if I had to guess who made that number up, it was probably our fearless leader that led ECW into the future. After that, I think it was a way to get. I think it was a way to get Eddie out, because I do remember like a little bit of like stuff in the locker room about like different people like getting involved kind of thing,
Okay. Yeah.
And then I heard Eddie's name, and Eddie didn't have the capital. Eddie didn't have he didn't have any means to buy the company.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any backers. Todd was the backer, and Todd, if he was buying 49%, Todd owed 51%. So there wasn't no way that Eddie could have bought that, because Eddie was on a salary, But I think that was all fabricated, and I think that Eddie was sold a bill of goods on that. And much like everybody else that ever dealt with the the fearless leader of ECW. Like, I want you to go pick up this guy from the fucking airport. What's his flight number? It's 675293. Well, there's 9 numbers in his flight number. Well, make them up. Oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think, and that to me, I always thought that was fucked up, because I thought Eddie and Paul were together, were geniuses. They were geniuses. They were geniuses. And if you go back and watch Continental Wrestling from 1988, I've never seen a territory more revived from the deaths of how a territory was killed than Continental was when Gilbert took over in like 1987, late 87, 88, and brought Paulie in. I mean, you would see they were drawing like go look on any network or any YouTube thing, and you see Gordon Soley doing commentary from the Boutwell Auditorium, and you see empty seats, with Wildcat Wendell Coley, and he's doing a suplex, and you watch it and you see the empty seats. I was a kid watching it, and I'm like, wow, this looks cool and all, but why is there so many empty seats?
Mm-hmm.
But when Gilbert took over and he did the stupid stuff with Pez Watley even, and the John Gillum stuff, Austin Idol stuff, it's like you won't believe, like, that old saying about chicken salad and chicken shit? That was it. Mm-hmm. Eddie Gilbert made chicken salad out of chicken shit. He made Pistol Pez Watley's retarded Sonic star. Like, he slapped him on TV. Like now it's starting to. Go ahead.
This is stuff I've never seen, and you make me so intrigued to watch it. I have to.
He did like after he beat up John Gillum, like he had a $10,000 check for anybody that could beat him, and he kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and he brought out the John Gillum, the retarded guy spot, and then after he did all that, he did a spot with Pez Watley when he was Willie B. Hurt. And he brought his son out, and he called his son retarded, and he slapped him. Like go back and watch that. This is like 1988. You're like, how the fuck are you getting away with this shit on TV? and the funny thing is I don't know who owns the tapes of them. The last person that I knew that owned the copyrights to them was David Woods. And David Woods, as far as I know, was just some money mark that just bought a bunch of fucking shit. And goddamn, I would love to get the fucking copyright to any of that stuff, because that was after the Fullers. That was like years after Welch gave up. You know, Stud. After Stud gave up on Continental and all that shit, and it was basically just a name. And it was some of the best stuff ever. They brought back Mr. Olympia, who for some reason in 1983 was bald, and then in 1985 he had hair, and he still wore a wig. I mean, he still wore a mask, and he would take his mask off, but he would have hair. And it was like, wait a minute, 4 years ago you didn't have any hair. Oh, dude, you guys. I mean. If I can give you guys any sort of homework to go back and watch Continental like 1988, man. It shows you. It kind of gives you a little bit of insight as to what Gilbert was thinking about in ECW, because we go back to how he's doing as much as he can with nothing. You know, like what he has. You know, we keep bringing up John Gillum or the retarded Willie B. Hurt kid, and Donnie Allen, and people that he's doing stuff with that he don't have anybody else to do anything with.
That's why we got the Super Ds and the Suicide Blondes in this never-ending saga. Let's go.
Well, I don't know what tag team is the Make-A-Wish team in that fucking match, but fucking one of them got to fucking go. I
mean, somebody's got to go. Something's got to give.
The best part about the whole entire thing was that Candido hurt his arm, and the fact that they tried to get him as far from that fucking match as possible.
Yep.
They carried him out of there, and he probably said, "Look, we got things for you. Don't worry about it.
You're no longer associated with this garbage." Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Chad. Any parting words for our listeners this week?
No, I just can't wait to do next week, because it can only get better.
We'll have Terry Funk next week. That's a positive. And don't forget,
please
everybody.
Tell me he's not going to be using his front loader. Oh my god!
All right, and of course you can check Chad out on Twitter and Chad's Video Vault, of course, on Facebook. Aaron.
Yep, just looking forward to next week, and it's got to be better than this one.
Yes, sir. And I want to thank everybody. For joining us. Happy New Year to our listeners. Thank you for your support. And we will see you next week as we continue reliving the extreme. Have a great week, everybody.
Rest in peace, Marianne.